Okay, so, where did my copy of the, you are printing it, okay.
Yeah, he's good.
So who's familiar with the ordinance? I know the planning commission, these three members are familiar with the ordinance. Have you had a chance to review the ordinance at all yet? Okay, then that gives me a good idea of what kind of overview, and I know.
And I have a new commissioner.
And our new commissioner, yes, your first meeting is a little bit different with everybody, so. Christina, yes, correct, Christina, joining us. All right, so the purpose of this ordinance is to try and find a way to allow more affordable housing into Harrisville City while still maintaining the character and vision that Harrisville has for its residents. The state just passed a bill that allows us to create an overlay for increased density in different parts, if we choose, in different parts of the city. And so we've used that bill as our kind of foundation. They're giving us different ideas of how to implement this in Harrisville. Also, how often do they review our affordable housing plan?
Every year.
Every year. And so it's really important that we stay on top of affordable housing options in Harrisville. We really like this one because it gives us a lot of control over what's happening and where it's happening in Harrisville. So this ordinance in particular, we feel would provide affordable housing, but also give Harrisville City the chance to review and make sure that where this happens is a good spot and a good implementation for the city. So, when you look through the definitions, those are mostly from the bill. Some of them are a little bit different. I think where do you think we should? Any questions in general yet about the purpose of the ordinance? Sorry, maybe I should review again. Sorry.
No, it's good now.
What was?
I think you're good.
We're good?
I don't have
Okay.
questions. You haven't said anything new yet that I've noticed, so.
No, and really we're just covering what we've discussed with the Planning Commission and the ideas that we've put together for implementing this particular idea into Harrisville City. So we do have the mixed use overlay that we've been implementing in different specific development agreements. This would be applied similarly, where you could take a residential zone and apply through this ordinance to have an overlay zone that allows more density if you meet certain requirements that are laid out in the ordinance. So it'll operate similar to our mixed use overlay. That's the intention. Things that we're really concerned about is really trying to decide what type of density do we want to see, what type of conditions do we want to put on the builders as far as what it means to be affordable. So something we discussed in Planning Commission and something that's in the bill, they talk about 120% of area median income being the goal for these homes. So it wouldn't be necessarily the lowest end. It would be trying to fit more middle homes. So I don't know, we'd like to have a variety of homes, and so we've written the ordinance so that they can have a percentage that meet that 120. We've thought about ideas for having
percentage within a
some
percentage.
at 100, 120, and what we've landed on so far, thank you, is I'm trying to find where exactly that one is.
We've got our target price minimum 75% of the units. Then we have our
Okay.
target prices.
Okay, perfect. And what page are you on?
305 into 405. That's
Okay.
where some of the discussion is. Yeah, that's probably
Okay, there we go. So it says, so the initial sale of the property, obviously we can't control subsequent sales, but the developer shall accept a price no more than the target price, which is that 125% of median income, for a minimum of 75% of the units. We're trying to find a balance. We've talked with different developers. Building new homes at this price range is difficult, but we do, looking at Harrisville, we've got some homes at the lower end, and they're more of the attached dwellings we're seeing at the 400 level. But to do single family detached, which is what we're targeting with this specific bill, it's going to be difficult to get a lot of homes in the 400s. So this is likely going to be 500s and 600s. Is that kind of what you gathered?
So that's kind of where the developers have indicated that they are,
Of course.
where they're at. But I think the whole purpose of this ordinance is kind of working backwards in the development process. Rather than historically, a developer comes in, they apply for a subdivision. If it's already zoned appropriately, they go through that process and then they sell the homes at the market value, right? Mm-hmm. This is kind of reversing that process and saying, what do we want that value of the home to be? And then starting there and building back with the density to get to the price of the home. And so the density is really related to how many homes we want to be in that affordable range. If it's the 75% of the subdivision has to be in that affordable range, then what does that density look like to get the homes at that target price? So we don't even include the AMI in the ordinance necessarily. The target price, we've kind of tossed around a lot of different ways with Planning Commission on how to determine that target price, because even we have one of the smaller cities in the county and we're 2.7 square miles, and we see a price market difference between the north end and the south end and the east and the west end of the city. And so kind of trying to figure out what that target price looks like has been a little tricky to define what we're looking for. But that's kind of the underlying goal of this ordinance, is to reverse the process of development and allow us to establish what we want the homes to be sold at, and then work backwards for density and how many homes in there.
I think that helps too, because it allows for the potential for more transparency with the developers, instead of just saying, okay, well, here's the zoning, but here's the zoning I want. And so I'm going to, like, there's so much back and forth, and it can take years and years and years. And it's fine for it to take years for some things, but if we have an opportunity to be a little more clear from the outset, I think that could be mutually beneficial.
Does the golf course meet most of this already?
The golf course does not. They are going to be priced out of an affordable housing definition.
Really?
The units in the golf course.
Some units, I think, are targeted.
Hopefully,
One's
we'll see
closest to
some.
the street?
I mean, I just want to be clear on that,
No, that's
because
good.
the
why I
golf course
asked.
also has an HOA, and that's something that we actually talked about in the housing subcommittee meeting yesterday with Weber County. We were talking about affordable housing and as it relates to HOAs, because it's one thing to have a home target price at $450,000, and then they have to pay $150 to $200 a month in HOA fees. And so that's something that we want to consider here. What do these developments look like? We want to encourage the developer to have public streets and proximity to open space, so that there isn't that need for an HOA. So kind of tying it back to this ordinance versus what we've got with the golf course, because those homes, yes, are there some townhomes in there that we hope will be and meet the affordable target? Absolutely, we hope so.
So a couple of those points. the target price that we're reaching, we are just stating exactly what's stated in the state bill, 125% of the median income. And that will be interpreted and defined through each development agreement as the developers come to us. We'll come to an agreement of what we feel that number should be.
So what is that number? 125%.
Oh, man.
Median. What's median?
I
What's
knew that off the top of my head a
Median,
couple months
I'm
ago.
trying to remember. I think it was somewhere around 89,000 is the.
Because we did it for the county.
For the county,
That was
Weaver
what
County was
it
89,000 a year in household income, and they bumped that to 120,000, 120%, and you end up closer. I think it was like 113, But when you extrapolate that into a house payment, it's very convoluted because it's how much debt do they have. And if you assume they have absolutely no debt and that they can make extreme payments, then you can get that really high. So that's a discussion we'll have with the developer to say, this is what we feel is reasonable, and where the state is vaguely defining it, we feel comfortably vaguely defining it in our ordinance as well, and then by development agreement establishing that.
So what are the big variables that we fight against this?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking in my mind, saying, okay, well, interest rates just went out the window.
Their interest rates, yeah.
When you talk about a person coming in to afford something like the house, and you say no debt. Let's see how much of the population is in a no debt situation right now.
Exactly, yeah.
1%.
Yeah. Oh, that much. Huh?
So,
Very few.
as a planning commission, as staff and with the planning commission, when we get these developments in, we'll run the numbers and find something we feel is reasonable for the area, and based on that baseline.
And I think it's important as well because some of the developers are pulling numbers off of
Yes.
Where do you get your
they're
numbers?
regional
Yeah.
numbers, right? They're not even specific to Weber County. And as soon as you go outside of Weber County, if you include Davis County or you include Morgan, for heaven's
Ogden
sakes,
Valley.
Yeah.
right?
They're
in a lot of trouble.
all of
More
a sudden our
expensive.
median income is way higher than it is in our area.
They like to leave out Box Elder County, but if they would include Box Elder County,
Yeah, they always leave that out.
yes,
Conveniently leave out.
they're like,
Box
how
Elder.
about Summit? How about? You're like, okay.
So,
To Sarah's point, I think it's important for us to stick with what the state has, as hard as it is, because we definitely would like some definition in the ordinance. And we're doing this balance between what do we include in the ordinance, what do we leave for negotiation on it, because the easier road is to have checkboxes that can be managed through that process.
and that's really what we're aiming for with this ordinance, because really we can do a development agreement for anything and keep operating that way, but where time is money for developers, if we can have an ordinance with more check boxes, then they can evaluate property more quickly, the process will go through more quickly, and then hopefully the speed of the process aids the affordability of the homes. So the transparency and the expectation set is what we're trying to do. So yeah, there are going to be some variables that we won't lock down in the ordinance, but as much as we can lock down in the ordinance, we would like to, so that it aids the developers in their process and their vision of what will happen.
So how much flexibility is the state giving us? Because
Quite a bit.
we're standing over
Yeah.
there and we're dancing the dance.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes, so
And-
honestly,
and-
this
and
is
we
probably
don't-
once.
And along with that is, what are the penalties if we don't dance the dance?
So the penalties remain the same for our moderate income housing.
Okay.
It is the new bill, it leaves my mind what number it is, but we've talked about it this year. That new state bill allows you credit for multiple years if you adopt an ordinance like this. It's not necessarily a tool to completely think that moderate income housing is just going to flow to Harrisville if we adopt it. And I'll be honest, I've had some feedback from other cities as we've been talking more openly about this, and there is concern. We hear in the market that homes, the same size home is being put on two different lot sizes and they're selling for the same price.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really frustrating for cities to try to adopt things that are helpful for development when the development is not necessarily showing reduction in price. The same footprint of a home on a 3rd-acre lot is selling for the same as a
Sure.
6,000 square foot lot. So
And that's fine.
Trying to-
I want to make sure
I don't
I'm
want to give
understanding,
false
that's all
hope
it
that,
is.
that all of a
No.
sudden we're gonna have the doors knocked down on the city, that we're gonna have a bunch of development interested in using this. It's just creating another tool. That's the goal, is to create another tool.
And we get credit for creating the tool, not necessarily for how it's implemented.
Yep.
Exactly. So we want to create the tool, and I do think it will be beneficial to the community, but creating the tool is what satisfies the state. And the state, the bill is quite vague. We're using parts of what it's asked. It has a variety of criteria you can use. We've taken the criteria that we like for Harrisville. I mean, for example, single-family detached homes was the driver. We really wanted to see detached single-family homes over anything with an HOA. When they're detached, then we can have eliminate an HOA. When we have our mixed-use overlay, that's where we're going to focus more of our attached and higher density options, because that'll be mixed in with our commercial options. So we feel like that would be a better place to put our higher density. And our overlay for residential zones, we would like to see this be the overlay for residential and focus on single-family detached without an HOA. So the criteria, instead of, normally when we have a higher density development, we're looking at putting in common areas and open spaces for the residents. But in this community where we're looking at single-family detached homes, we're trying to balance where they have enough space on their own property that they don't need a common area and they don't need an HOA. But one of the parts of the ordinance that we've implemented is that they provide a pathway to a community area. So they might be doing sidewalk completion. It might be part of a trail just to make sure that within their community, they definitely have to have connectivity, your sidewalks. And then looking at their development, they need to provide a plan and say, this is how our residents are going to get to the existing parks. And so we probably won't be able to say build a pathway all the way to it, but if there's a small sidewalk completion or a small trail completion that would connect them to an existing facility, that's what we're looking at for this particular ordinance. Any other questions about those ideas? Something that's really hard to define, and what we've been looking at are a lot of different housing types, and would be what type or how much square footage do we need for each lot to be viable for a nice single-family detached home. And this is where we're kind of we've kind of landed, but it's still up for discussion. We're trying to avoid the look of a row of garage doors. We're trying to build homes that feel like a community and that connect to the community. So we're allowing different lot frontage. Or I'm trying to think if we put this on here, but the lot frontage is different depending on if you have a front-facing. Did we put this in here yet? The front-facing garage door is something
We've got a little bit.
The garage door, corner lot.
the setback. So I guess we haven't included this yet, but we're trying to
Yeah.
have.
We do it for A and B.
Just wanna make sure
Oh,
it
okay.
doesn't
The
conflict with
front yard setback. So if you don't have a garage in the front, obviously you're not parking in that driveway, and so you can get a little bit more room by pushing your house closer to the street if you have a rear access garage door. Looking at side yard setbacks, we're trying to keep those pretty tight so that they can get more homes on the linear front footage of the street. I'm trying to think. So we'd also like to see a variety of homes, and that's something we've mentioned in here, that we don't want to see one house style, one size. We want to see something that kind of, that can be a very small cottage up to a larger cottage, so that we're attracting different client base in the community. So you could have empty nesters next to young couples, next to mid-sized families, just homes that can meet anyone's need within the community. It also helps aesthetically when we don't have just one home repeated over and over. We'd like communities to be well thought out. A lot of times the cost of a development isn't increased by creativity, if that makes sense. So ways to increase the aesthetics of the community without increasing the cost necessarily. You can take a box of a house and put a different roof here and a different, a lot of minor variations, different finishes to make a home look more custom without necessarily increasing the cost. So we want to really lead the developers in that direction. So we're looking at taking the entire lot that they have, divide it by 5,000 square feet, and then that's how many units are available. So you can't have any more units than that. And then going through and saying, okay, you have to have at least this much street frontage, and you have to have this kind of a side setback. So some of them they have the ability to have some that are larger and some that are smaller. The other thing that is hard to determine, we have a lot of infill opportunities in Harrisville, but what is the minimum size lot we want people bringing to us to implement this type of design? We've been looking at a 5-acre parcel, and that's tight. It's hard because I don't want a developer to come to us and say, well, I've just got to do this and I want to break all the rules to do this. And when sometimes the parcel is just too small, or the width in certain areas is not going to be conducive to this criteria that we feel creates a better neighborhood. So I don't see a parcel smaller than 5 acres working for this kind of redevelopment. I don't think there'd be economies of scale that would work for this. And I'd even push a little bit larger. I think the larger the parcel, the less it affects the surrounding community as well. I'm a little concerned about 2 acres here, 2 acres there, 1 acre there. So we talked about 5 acres, and I don't know, do you have any thoughts on anything I've been talking about?
It's interesting we're talking about this, and yet we travel all over the world, and you don't see this. You see dense housing, because that's what's required. Not that we're headed that way, but development is pushing that way. I understand that. And we've had enough discussions with people coming in and talking about that land is the highest priced thing to start with, and the less you can get. And here we're trying to pull it out this way, which I think is great. But where's the balance of cost effectiveness between what you want to develop and what you can afford to put on a piece of land?
Yeah.
Who was it that we had a discussion and he wants to take a large lot, split it in half? Sure, that's taxes in one sense.
Yes.
But at the same time, he was able to put them narrow this way versus cookie cutter square roads.
Mm-hmm.
And that's creativity.
And these, at 40, if they do have a 40-foot frontage, they will be more narrow, long lots, and that is more efficient as far as your infrastructure goes. And quite frankly, for the city, it's easier to maintain lots that are tighter that way because we have less infrastructure to maintain. They have less to put in, we have less to maintain, and that'll help perpetuate the affordability through taxes, we would assume and anticipate.
So you've got a 40-foot lot, wide lot. 20 feet of that is in the house, which leaves you 10 on each side.
They're about 30 feet for the house. They
30
can
feet.
do for
So
a
they
single
can-
story. Yeah.
Okay. Single
5-foot
story.
setbacks on a single level.
Now, I don't know if we can pull up the presentation. You've got it. Okay, so
We've talked a lot about
just the aesthetic.
Don't go so fast, I get
Sorry.
No, we're starting here. We're starting here. So this is a development in Ogden, just right close to downtown.
Sure.
That was done a few years ago. This is similar to I think these are 50-foot wide lots, and they have rear access garages.
Sure.
So they have just a
detached.
a detached garage.
So it's a small footprint.
So it is a small footprint, but when you walk down this street, it has a really nice view. So this is what I'm talking about with like some variation. These are just box houses.
Sure.
But they've put some character into each one. These lots do go back much further, but the same concept could be established. I guess if you go up, this is actually, you could get this concept with a 6,000 square foot lot.
Sure.
And they're about 50 feet by 120 feet. You could accomplish something that looks like this. And this is kind of what it looks like from the top. You can see those detached garages. So if you cut off the yard after the garage, that's what that 50 by 120 feet would look like. You'd have a little bit of play space in the back, nothing extreme. Now, this is in Layton. If you're looking at a 4,000 square foot lot with a garage in the front, this can be accomplished another 50 foot by 80 foot lot. So a little bit narrower, I mean, not as deep because you've got the garage in the front. I don't love the front garage access, and I would limit the frontage to 50 feet if you're going to have garage access from the front, just because you end up with kind of a plugged up street if you're just garage door, garage door, garage door. But this is an economical way to build. And I guess I need to ask, because I have my personal preferences. I don't like rows of garage doors. But I know that's my personal preference. How do you feel about the style of these homes?
I like the other ones better, yeah. I mean, it's obviously convenient.
This
to
is
be able
gonna be
pull right
more
in.
And even like this
Yeah.
top left,
Aesthetically.
like that's better because the front of the house, it's not like the garage is the thing sticking out the front. It's like,
No.
I have lived in neighborhoods with a couple of these, and we've got family and friends that live in some that are just, it is a sea of garage doors, a rolled curb, there's no sidewalks.
Yeah.
And it's not
Well,
ideal and wouldn't be ideal for Harrisville.
And the biggest problem is we see that in the overflow, like up on 1500. Both driveways, you've got your two cars. What's the garage used for? That's their storage closet.
Yeah.
So when fans and family and friends come, where do they park?
Yeah, they need to have street parking available.
And
Yeah.
anytime you bring something, all of a sudden it becomes a collection of trying to get around things.
Yeah.
Let alone trying to drive through with vehicles like garbage and things
And
like that.
if the residents start parking permanently on the street, then where do the visitors come? So that's where,
Yeah, and I've seen
And that
this-
is an issue in every area of Harrisville, every
It
single
is.
one.
And then we have ordinances in the winter where you cannot park on the streets
Right.
overnight anyway. So residents need to have some access to
The challenge
parking.
comes, and to be honest, you want a family dwelling? Fine. How many cars are in a family? Not two.
depends how many teenagers are in that
That's
household.
exactly right. So all of a sudden you got three.
It looked like
Or
you
sometimes
just
four.
parking lot of my house.
And so all of a sudden when it comes to the ordinance and trying to park off the street, where do they park?
Yeah.
So we don't currently have anything in our ordinance that talks about garages, and my recommendation is to leave it that way.
Sure.
And we wouldn't include anything in here that would require or exclude garages. We would just have, what we have written in there is if they have a garage, the setback from the street is a little different than
Yeah.
if they don't.
And I think that's great because that puts the burden too on the developer
Yeah.
to say these are the products we offer, and the buyer can decide.
Right.
Like,
And I'm
Well,
trying
and
to
most
think-
developments will have 3 or 4 floor
Yes.
plans that you can choose from, so they're not all looking the same, and there's some variation.
Yeah.
Have you looked at 0 lot lines? I mean, is that something that we're looking at?
Not something we could do without an
residential.
HOA. They need access to be individual lots. So we've kept it 5 feet is as tight, so you've got that 10 feet, so you have access. So 0 lot lines are probably something we'd look at more for the mixed use developments, I think.
Yeah, because in other places I've lived, they have 0 lot lines without HOAs. So it's
Oh,
just other
really?
states.
Mm.
Yeah.
The challenge, the creation of setbacks was to govern how close people are living together.
Right.
So, the state kind of recommends that we have a minimum setback of 5.
If without an HOA,
I don't know
it
that
gets
there's
really
a
difficult
development.
among neighbors to deal with 0 setbacks. I've been an HOA president before, and so I'm sensitive to.
Right.
It could be difficult.
Just in the areas I've been, it creates more side yard for people to have usable space rather than.
So that the
Little
oh,
ways.
like a twin home where they're attached on the
No.
inside.
No, there's just
No.
no barrier between yards, is what you're
So
talking about.
actually,
So
your house is
it
built
looks like
right
there's
on
more.
right on your lot line,
Mhm.
and so you're still on your property, but it acts as almost a fence, and they usually fence those in, and so. it's-
Oh, I see what you're saying. So the homes
Yeah.
would be right next to each other, but
Yes, but you'll have the space on that side because,
but it'd be the neighbor's setback.
yes.
So it's only a 0 setback on one side, not both
Correct.
sides.
Correct.
Okay, yes, that is something I think we can consider. Okay, sorry. Catching up to you, good idea. Something I think we have discussed that I'm not sure we have in the ordinance, I can't remember, but it was just the percentage of the front that can be a garage door, just so that if we have that 40 feet, that's the tightest lot frontage, but we might want to require 50 feet if the garage is front facing. And I'm not sure if we ended up putting that in the ordinance now I'm thinking about it.
Sure.
Or if we did a percentage. I think I proposed some things, but I don't know that.
I know we've talked about it.
Top of page 3, it just says 40 feet. Except
Yeah.
And you have
For
your
lot
house
frontage.
Except for
there.
on the outside curve, we reduced to 30.
So, you know, how
We talked about
so you have this
setbacks,
yard.
a little bit of difference
So
if
this
we had
Yeah,
more than one story.
So that is something I'd want your feedback on, is if you'd want to see the lot frontage increase with the garage door, and then we won't. So just because these, looking at these, this takes 50 feet of street frontage. So if you imagine 10 feet smaller, you end up with just the garage door and the front door as the front of the home.
Right. I don't think we did. I think we talked about it, but
I don't think we implemented that. And I guess that would be my question, is if that's something you would like to see added.
Add 50 feet.
And would we put that in?
If the garage door is facing forward, yes.
Yes, if the garage door is facing forward. And then it would just maybe kind of give an advantage to those rear-facing garage
Yeah.
doors. Or rear, sorry,
Right, or detached.
detached. That's the term that would be the best to use. So here's an interesting, so this is what those homes look like from above. Just, it is a lot of garage doors, but you've got at least a little bit of space between each one for parking, like at least one or two cars, it looks like, between each home, which is,
And see, I could see the advantage of what you're talking about if you do 0 on one side of the home.
Right.
Then it puts space in
more
between.
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
versus
It gives you
Rather
side
than
yard.
trying to square it right in the middle, and you don't, I mean, I'm
It's
gonna
just
have to
more
go out and buy an
usable yard
electrical
space.
lawnmower.
and so we could look at adjusting the ordinance to say what is the total side yard, the total side yards, and,
or 1, 0.
Drop
yeah,
that
so
down.
the total added up needs to be a certain
Drop that
amount.
down.
If I'm understanding that correctly, you have to have, you couldn't have 0 for 2 houses, right?
Right,
So-
right.
Yeah, exactly.
So
You
drop,
have to have
Like
like
a
10
little
between houses, yes.
drop that picture a little bit. I'd like to see the homes on it. No, the other
Oh,
way.
The townhouses?
Yeah, the townhouses.
Oh, this right here,
Yeah.
up top. So we have a close-up of those. They're spectacular, and I want to convince Billy to do that. We'd love it. I really like
So
that.
this is
Yes,
an
we have
H-
none of those in this
So
area.
this is not an HOA.
The single-family homes, I do not. Well, actually, this community might have an HOA. They wouldn't have to for the single-family homes, but those townhouses, I'm sure, would be.
So how does an HOA fit into this? Because we're talking about not wanting an HOA because it's more expensive. Okay.
Ideally, if we're talking about affordable housing.
Well, yeah, we are. I thought that was what the discussion was about.
You're right.
I'm teasing. But if we start looking at like the townhouses up at the top, where they are butt up against each other, that does give you more area space, but then that forces us into an HOA.
Yes, but the units also would be more affordable. So those type of homes would be looking to put into our mixed-use development. And so this ordinance would specifically address the single-family detached homes with higher density. And then we'd be looking at, and I think it would be a little bit easier to stomach when we get those mixed-use developments that come in that want to do higher density. We can kind of say, okay, this is the place for it. It's next to commercial. It's going to transition from our commercial, then we have a little bit more density, and then we transition into something tighter single-family home. So we always obviously could make exceptions through development agreement if we end up with a residential zone that's next to commercial lot, and we feel like maybe some townhomes transitioning would make sense depending on how big the parcel is. But in general, this ordinance is going to be addressing single-family detached homes.
So what is the cost for a general HOA?
Well, they're super variable. I've seen them as
Yeah.
low as $17 a month and as much as like $500 or $700 a month. It just depends on what your
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me, I
neighborhood is.
don't know.
Yeah, they can vary.
The larger the units contributing, the cheaper the fees are. So that's what the golf course, having 110 acres to work with.
Colonial Cold Springs is the HOA.
Yeah. It also depends on the services that HOA is paying
Right.
for.
Exactly.
Is it just plumbing and water and sewer, or is
Right, or you
it
have
10 more
community
things?
pool and a giant, this depends.
Yeah. So this is one in South Jordan, and what they've done is, what you're seeing in the middle here is a detention basin. And I'm not sure exactly how we would do this without an HOA. So the hard thing is, and if you look at it, these are 3,200 square foot lots. So once you get to those really tight lots, that's where you're looking at more of an HOA. And so what they've done here, so if you look up here, see that gray house and that blue house to the left, this is what they look like from the alley access to the home. So they don't have any common space, or they don't have any,
Yards.
they don't have any yards, they just have the common space. And this is what it would, these are 40 foot wide, so if we allow garages on a 40 foot wide lot, this is what they look like. That's why I'm a little concerned. They would look like detached townhomes, and maybe people are okay with that. But they have a shared alley here for some of the lots. So on the right side, you see actually connected townhomes. On the left side, you see the back of these homes. That we get the right spot. So that's the homes on the back there. You see the yellow one and the blue one. That's these here on the right. So
They don't even have a driveway width.
no, and
You know.
what they've done on this, if you see, this is all concrete each. And this is a possibility when you do a shared alleyway. You can divide it up and everyone actually owns their piece. And concrete lasts much longer than asphalt, requires less maintenance. So it is possible to do an alleyway that's individually owned and not part of an HOA, or at least have a very limited HOA. So I'm just trying to, oh yeah, the next house right here. So these, trying to remember why, oh, I circled that house so that you'd see that that right there is what a 3,200 square foot lot would look like. And that's,
And those homes aren't tiny. That's another.
yeah, these are
Those
not
are-
tiny.
Those are very moderately sized. I don't remember the square footage. We looked at that at one time,
Yeah.
but that's not a 1,400 square foot home. So,
So
and
here's
some people
another-
love this.
Yes.
There are plenty of people who want to live in a neighborhood where people can't park everywhere and have the street in front of their house completely covered with cars all the time. They can't have guests, and they don't want to have a huge yard to maintain.
Well, and you
And-
and I
and
both,
see, that's
growing
what
up
I-
in the East,
Yes.
this is what you see.
Yeah,
This is
and
normal.
lots of countries too.
Yeah.
Like I know we
This is-
don't need to go like internationally, but we have, I have siblings that have lived in communities like this in the States too, intentionally. They
like
just love it, and it builds a sense of community too. So like, yes, there's a type of community where everyone has their 2, 3, 4, 5 acre lots, and you all meet at a park or you all meet in somebody's backyard. There's another sense of community that's developed here too, where you all live a little in closer proximity without shared walls, but you also don't have 5 acres of grass to mow.
Yeah. Think of Long Island. It's very dense, but there are a lot of detached homes. And then you get to Manhattan where it's all connected and high rise. It's kind of a different feel. So this development here, you see they have. We're basically standing on the main street, so you park, and I'll show this from an aerial as well. But you park on this main street, and then you can walk to the front of the houses, and then behind
So there's
they
no
have an
garage.
alley. They do have an alleyway behind.
Yeah, there's
Okay,
And
so
that's
the
where they get
garage is
their
in the
garage.
back?
Yep.
Yeah.
So this one is right.
So it's nice. It kind of isolates. Like this is not where the kids are playing. The kids play in the front. The cars are in the back.
And you can't park in the driveways.
You
because
can't
they're
park
too
in the
small.
driveways. You can't park in the alleyway. But from above, if you look at where the cars are parked, and then that's that green area between where you can get to the front of the houses. So this is a
like
concept.
a single family version of the Cove.
Oh, okay.
That's the same concept.
Yeah.
So
Or the patio home.
yeah,
that's up there.
yep.
So this is 6 units per acre. It's hard to do an actual square footage. And I just threw this in because we love it. This is a townhome, and I don't think anyone would be opposed to this in their neighborhood. It's a really
Is it 7 unit or did we?
6 unit.
Yeah, like I counted 6 doors.
4, 5, 6, yep.
6 unit
And the
townhome.
ones on the end are single level,
Yes.
and then the ones in the middle are 2-story. But for all intents and purposes, it looks very much like a very large single-family home.
So if we were looking at mixing uses, someone with a very large home next to something like this, it would blend.
It would blend.
Yeah. So I like the creativity, and I think it's okay for us to ask for more creativity from our developers.
So something else I wanted to kind of bring up as well, and Chad and Max were in attendance last week when Wasatch Front Regional Council did a presentation, and percentage leaves me of what portion of our population will be aging into housing.
Like 25%.
Will be,
I
I
thought it was
a little higher than that.
I was gonna say, that sounds low.
I think it was almost, it was 50
Welcome to
something
Yeah.
percent. It was more than half the time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Aging out of.
Yeah, it was like
Yes.
56% or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we have-
Will
crazy
be
high.
55 years and older in the next,
20.
25 years.
thank you.
Oh, wow.
That's 25.
A lot of us will be over 55. That's right. 25 years.
Yeah, so in the next 25 years, the population will be in the 55 and older range. And this affordable housing ordinance would allow for those types of developments as well, for people who are downsizing, or they don't want a large home anymore, they don't want a large lot anymore, they don't want the yard, they wanna, maybe they do want an HOA because they don't wanna
Well, and then
remove their
something
snow.
like that, you know, if we're getting that old, I want a single level, right?
Right.
I wanna go
Yes.
Well, and the option, if you're in an end unit that's a little bit smaller, maybe you need an ADA option, and that might be possible to add that there.
But it's blended with
Right.
the rest of the community.
Right.
I
Guessing something similar.
bought, when we had young children, we bought my grandmother's home in a traditionally retirement community. It wasn't labeled 55 and older. But quite honestly, where young families live and where retired people live, it's pretty much the same house. It was
And a
really
lot of you want the
nice.
same services.
And want the same service.
Yes.
You're busy with your little kids. You don't want a big yard. You're busy, and you don't want a lot to maintain. And so it was a really wonderful experience, and I wish that more young families would have blended in that community, because for us, having the elderly there was awesome, and I think for the elderly, they kind of liked us there, maybe most of the time. No. But I don't think we have to build specific
like it,
communities,
they
but
went
something
inside.
smaller will appeal
Right.
to a large demographic and be able to cycle through
Yes.
a lot of different uses.
A lot better marketability.
So,
Yeah.
does this apply to what we're doing here?
This
unit
unit does not. This was just one.
Oh,
But
so
all
that's-
that
To
we
give you an
Not to
idea
spend
of the
20 minutes on
possibilities
it.
when we are
Right.
presented with development agreements.
Yeah, I'm just
But
like that.
proposals.
a retirement community with single or smaller footprint homes, that is what this addresses, and it will work for many different lifestyles, many different life situations. And I think there's a need for it, and it can apply to a lot of different people who aren't wanting a townhome and not wanting the large parcel. So.
Yep.
So we've got
I like the open
a
space.
few minutes left at the end of this. We've done a lot of talking here, and obviously the intent of this work session is to get your input as well on your feelings on where we're at as we take this back to Planning Commission and continue our discussions on nailing down what the setbacks look like, what type of options we have with setbacks, the minimum lot area for the homes, also the density. We'll add some language regarding the garages.
Got a note for that.
If any other comments or things that are standing out to you in your minds as we move forward.
So do you have a picture of the 3,000 square foot?
We had 3,200.
I saw the 32, but I'm just saying.
Yeah,
you
it's
have-
big as this room. Sorry, just kidding.
Well, they
you're
they
not
are
wrong.
small,
Mr.
and so you're gonna end up building up or a shotgun, right?
Yeah.
So these are these are the fronts of those
3,200.
3,200
See,
square foot. These are
I'm
the
thinking that
backs in the
we don't
alley.
want to go any smaller than 32.
So if
So
the
that's
idea-
a visual of,
Yeah. So it would be, if they did, they wouldn't be able to do a whole community of 3,000 because they'd be limited on how many units they could get in. It would be just to add diversity. A couple little ones to appeal to maybe a single individual or someone looking for a very small home. A
Well,
couple
even
of
if they had an
those.
odd shape, then you did like a couple homes, like, you
Yeah.
know, oh, well, this wouldn't fit 5,000 square feet, but we could tuck a 3,000 lot here.
It would probably be a single car garage, possibly. It would be a unique small. We just wanted to leave that option, but where we're limiting the overall density, we wouldn't see a whole community of that unless it's all 3,000 and all, you know, something much larger. But if someone came to that where we have park, I'm trying to think where we've labeled that, but we do have a note that says that we are looking for a variety of home sizes and pricing, so that if someone came to us with something that was a bunch of 3,000 and a bunch of large ones, we'd be like, it doesn't really meet the ordinance. So we have,
we didn't touch on the deed restriction either, so maybe we
Oh,
jump into that
yeah.
for the last couple of minutes. So
Yeah.
these units, we're proposing that these units be deed restricted. We've kind of had some discussion on
About number of years.
how
20
long the
years-ish.
number of years of that deed restriction, and so we've got included here the language of 20 years.
Yeah, that's what I remember we
The
talked about.
states, was it
10 years is the minimum to meet the state's requirements. My concern, and personally I would put 100 years, but there's thought process on this is, I know some people like the idea of they buy their first home, then they rent it out after they've lived in it. And that is a great opportunity for people, but whether it's a corporation or an individual that's renting the home, that's taking the opportunity away from someone to purchase that home.
Right.
So we're trying to, I'm a little concerned, even after 20 years, what happens to those homes. The older they get, it seems like more people are going to want to rent it out, but I personally would like to reserve the deed restriction for as long as possible, so that we reserve homes for owners in the community, because there are a lot of homes already existing that don't have deed restrictions. But if we create some deed restrictions in the community, I think that would be advantageous.
Yeah.
And that would just be limited to the new builds in these communities.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, just to anything that's under this ordinance.
Right. So
Yeah.
nothing retro.
And we do have in there, and we set the goals at the beginning of the ordinance, saying that we want these to be single-family, detached, and owner-occupied units, right?
Yes,
And
I did
so-
see the owner occupied.
So going along with that, this number 4 priority ownership, we've kind of defined what
Oh,
type of
right,
advertisement we will encourage the developer to kind of pay attention to who those buyers are. Obviously, if it's listed for over 30 days and they don't have anyone that meets that, then it goes open for them to sell to the general public. But we have defined some of that as well. So if you have comments on that, or feelings on deed restrictions, or the number of years.
So it's basically a 30-day first right of refusal that we're creating for Harrisville residents, first-time home buyers, and critical and essential workers. So after 30 days, if no one from those demographics have put offers on the homes, then it can open up to the greater public.
I have so many mixed feelings about deed restrictions.
Yeah, well,
So many.
I mean, if that's the case, then you gradually over time start weeding out these types of properties,
I don't know.
right? Because if every cycle somebody sells their house or tries to an essential person, then meeting this criteria, and they can't find something, so then they open it up and they sell it for more. Aren't we effectively limiting the pool now of that affordable housing?
So it's not related to the cost. The initial price of the home is outlined in this ordinance, but the home price will fluctuate with the market as the home ages.
The initial price will not, but the resale price, anyone the resale price, the homeowners can set it whatever value they like.
Yeah, it's always
You said
gonna
it
be
that way.
like.
It's better than I
Just
said it.
sorry.
So what I understand is it's always gonna be at market value. You're not limiting the price for 30 days to open it to these people and then raising the price for anybody else. It's just, that's who can buy it for 30 days at that market value? Is
And
that kind of what?
I believe
Yeah,
this is only, first right of refusal is only for the first time sell of the home, if I read this correctly. So this is only the first time we sell the home, the target price and the first right of refusal applies. After that, the deed restriction is the only thing that applies, that has to be owner occupied.
It seems like we also talked about a time period that the owner needs to remain in the house before they can sell it, did we?
We did talk about it, like if we needed to put that in, like
Like,
if,
Oh, so they don't buy it.
so they don't buy it and then flip it
sell.
6 to 12 months later.
Yes.
But that would be where the deed restriction.
But
I think
yeah,
that's what we
I
did
think-
instead.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think we landed
20
on
year.
that it's not necessarily in the city's interest of whether they sell the home as long as we have deed restriction on the next buyer.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's kind of where we landed, but
So
I
it
think
can't be rented, it has to be sold.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
so,
Yes.
so anybody can come in and flip, right? Yeah.
But I think what will help with that is that if they don't own it, these homes won't all, the initial price that we set, it's gonna be hard for everyone to compete with the initial price. When their neighbor bought for this much, that'll affect their appraisals. And the sooner they sell it, the more tied they are going to be to whatever the homes in the area are already selling for. So if they're in a community and some of them aren't finished and they're selling at the target price, guy down the street's not gonna be able to sell for more than the target price and you can get the new one for the target price. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the larger the community is, the more, like if the community has phases, that would help. But that is a concern. That could become a problem.
Jenny, one thing I think, and this is specifically to the city council members, when you talk about deed restrictions, and this isn't a fun thing to talk about, the more you put deed restrictions on, it has to be enforced, otherwise it's worthless, correct? And that costs significant money. So when you're talking about deed restrictions, there also needs to be a thought and idea of budgets and personnel to enforce deed restrictions, otherwise they're worthless.
So the deed restriction will be on the title, and the state is requiring that this be in the ordinance. So I think the city will do what they can to enforce it, but this ordinance has to have a deed restriction in it. Yeah.
I'm not saying
I would-
not, but it's important that you think about it when we talk about deed restrictions, that this directly carries into whatever your budget discussion is going to be
Who
once
enforces
this
it?
product is available.
Right. Well, the title company would be.
Possibly, at first, but after that,
Well,
always has
every
to go
time
through a
someone
title
purchases a
company.
home, it's on the title, so the title company, so the city
Always go through there.
would have, if they wanted to go in.
but it's still,
Yeah,
you know, if
title.
we're going to enforce it, they've broken it, somebody has to enforce it, somebody has to pay for that. I understand both sides
Yeah.
of the coin. What you're saying is correct, but if they want to get away with it or try to, then somebody has to stay there and say, okay, I'm sorry, you can't do this. So then we're going to take you to court, how much is it going to cost, da-da-da-da. And
Which is the
that's-
same as every ordinance we pass, quite honestly. It's just the same as every ordinance. It's only as good as at its enforcement, so.
So it's going to
Something
cost,
to-
That's
so
any,
the bottom
any
line is
rule.
going to cost money.
So as we wrap up our discussion, so we can roll into our city council meeting, please take your drafts home and give any feedback, written feedback to Sarah on your thoughts with it, and we'll come back after we've gathered enough of your thoughts and ideas on ordinance to planning commission and hold another work session
Sweet.
and move forward.
I'll make a motion to close this meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
It is 7 o'clock. I'd like to welcome all of you to a Harrisville City Council meeting. It's nice to see so many in the audience. We appreciate you being here. Welcome to council and staff. We'll start with a call, pledge of allegiance by Councilmember Christensen. Time to get.
Everybody rise, please. Please follow me with pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father in heaven, we're grateful for this evening. We're grateful for this building we have to meet in. We're grateful for the opportunity we have to serve. We're also grateful for the opportunity we have to have freedom in our lives and freedom in this country. We're grateful to live here. This time we asked him to discuss the things of this city, the residents, and all the things that pertain to it. We say these things in Jesus Christ, amen.
Thank you, Councilmember Christensen. I appreciate that. I'd like to excuse Councilmember Weiss, he's out of town tonight. We're moving on to item number 3, which are consent items. It's the approval of meeting minutes for August 19th, 2025, which is our council meeting. August 26th, 2025, which is the Board of Canvassers meeting, and August 26th, 2025 is a council meeting as presented. Council, if you have a chance to look at those, any corrections there? Are you ready to make a motion on this?
I'll make a motion, we approve the meeting minutes from August 19th, 2025, council meeting. August 26th, 2025, Board of Canvassers meeting. And August 26th, 2025, council meeting as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. On to item number 4, which is probably why all of you are here. We're gonna do oath of offices. I'm gonna have Chief Wilson. Are you okay to introduce your new officer?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
this is our newest team member for Harrisville, for Harrisville, we're the.
Welcome. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Ms. Julie Rivera.
Yes, please.
You're the second voice that carries. I've been in law enforcement for almost 5 years now. It is something that I love doing, care about making a change in the community around us. Having something better to put into the world. I've been strongly supported by my wonderful family, my husband, my kids, my parents. My mom was inspiration for wanting this, as she was the one who raised me and she was in law enforcement when I was growing up. She was a female officer on patrol and set the example of what a strong person can be in my life. So, yeah, I've got also my family from church here as well, so it's a little overwhelming, but I'm really honored to be a part of this department and the people that I work with. I have worked beside, assisting on calls, and I'm really honored, feel the privilege to be part of the team.
Wonderful. We welcome you. Do you want to just step to the side? We've got 2 more people. Jill, do you want to introduce yours?
Sure. If anyone wants to come up, she is our new account rep. She helps with accounts payables, accounts receivables, and business licensing and all the random stuff that I need help with. So she is amazing. She's already caught on really quick, and I'm excited to have her on the team.
Melissa, your turn.
Well, I'm Melissa, and so far I've enjoyed working for Harrisville City, and I'm excited.
Thank you. All right, then where's Christina? Thank you. Just for refreshing, a refresher, go ahead and tell us who you are.
Christina, I'm an ER nurse at Ogden Regional. It's gonna help keep Harrisville great.
And you was member of the planning commission, so, all right. Thank you. Jack, are you ready?
Y'all raise your right hand and repeat after me, please. I state your name,
I, Christina Roberts,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support,
that I will support,
obey, and defend
obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Utah,
the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and that I will discharge the duties
and I will discharge the duties
of my office with fidelity.
of my office with fidelity.
Thank you.
Congratulations. You can do it. I'm gonna have you shake the council's hands, and then I'm gonna have any, one at a time, I'll have you up here as anybody that wants to have the picture taken, because this is one of them that's figured out. So let's see if you can switch them back. Thank you. You want your picture taken, I said. Well, I would love that more. I would love that. Okay, not next year. I have that. That's right. It's a family. It's a family event. Hang on, so she can. It's not here. He's our picture guy. You do it? Okay. Say, I'm directing, I'm pretty fast. You come over here. We're gonna turn around and then chief will take a picture. All right, or somebody. You know. I'm not gonna look at. All right, and Melissa was that's fine. Have you got a family, Melissa? Nope. Okay, we're still gonna take them. That's me. And then Julie, anybody in your family want to?
We'll invite her mom up first to come to her dad's.
Yeah, okay. I'll see you back there.
Or.
Okay. Thanks so much. Myself.
Sure. Things. Been a while.
It's like a massage. Yeah.
Bonita.
That's a good apple. It's a little different, but not than somebody else. What helps if I could see? I can't see. Okay. I didn't carry down. And anybody else in the family wants to add with picture?
All the pictures.
All right.
Later.
Gotta get the app in here. Yeah. Oh, you want? Ryan?
Yeah, everybody else. You guys first, and then we'll get it. You guys first. Your family.
Ryan will come up when you're done here. Wait a minute, we just get these four. Hey, this is a coordinated event.
In your picture person.
Hey.
Bonita.
Let me do two.
I don't know about that.
Everything.
Thank you. I'll get one picture. No, don't go anywhere yet. I gotta use this camera next. This is nice. Want full length? We'll edit it later. Huh? Fuck it up. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you all for being here. It's always wonderful to celebrate a new officer, a new finance person, and a new planning commissioner all at the same time. It's great. Thank you. And moving on to item 5, which are business items. Item A is a discussion of possible action to adopt resolution 25-15, which is our community wildfire preparedness plan. And Northview Fire is here. Matt Lee, Captain?
Yep.
All right.
Thanks for having me. I was told this was a closed door meeting. I was the only one attending, that's why I decided to do it. So, yeah, Captain Lee with the Northview Fire. I'm currently our wildland captain. I don't know if you guys had a chance to see any of this or the first one to talk to you about it. So last year I went around with the Division of Forestry, Fire and State Lands, and we drove around the 3 cities in our district. We looked at target areas that were higher hazard area than others. I don't know if you guys have the other picture of the map. Might be down there a ways. But as we drove around with this map, we looked at target areas, so more exact, there should be another one with some colors on it. So the target areas obviously are the east bench of the North Ogden, also the north bench, the divide, and the north bench over there in Pleasant View, especially for pole patch. So there it is. So that's what we call our heat map. That was the higher hazard area. It's all in red. So as you guys can see down here in Harrisville, it's a little bit of yellow. You guys have pockets of unincorporated or undeveloped land. It's just mostly light grass fuel, but it's all landlocked, so it's not gonna really expand anywhere. Plus the resources we have available down in this area from neighboring agencies, we can get a quicker response from other agencies to help mitigate these incidents. So obviously the ones up on the hill are a bigger concern for us. And as of last month, you guys kind of saw how that played out. And we got lucky on that. So we came up with a plan with the state. We're doing a preparedness, prevention, and mitigation. So the preparedness side of it, we purchased the brush truck that was on that first slide. So better equipment is gonna better our response and how we're gonna attack these wildland fires. Also, we were handing out door hangers because we want to do education for all the citizens that are up in those areas. So I think I hung out over 100 door hangers on homes. And I had a QR code, and the people that live there could scan the code, get an appointment made. I would go and talk to them and how they could do a home protection and better prepare themselves in case of fire. Unfortunately, we had a stellar 8 people reply to that. I believe next year we'll have at least double of that because of this current fire we had. So that's the prevention side of it. Mitigation, we come up with trying to get a hold of Rocky Mountain Power, because the power line runs all up there. They're in charge of the power line road, which is just a 2-track dirt road, but it's overgrown, so there's not an actual fire break. So we're trying to get a hold of Rocky Mountain Power to come in so they can mitigate that road and make it a clean fire break again, which will give us a lot better defensible space, have that from running down on the houses like it did this year. Also with prevention, we're gonna do a chipper days. So we're gonna get wood chippers and we're gonna try to get fuel crews from Weaver Fire District and our own guys to go up. And whoever wants to participate, I don't know if we're gonna cut down their stuff or they're gonna cut it down, but we're gonna take care of disposing it for them. So that'll take some of the burden and cost off the homeowners up there. Also with that, we have a matching grant from the state, so they match up to $19,000 a year. So any mitigation work we do, they'll match up to $19,000 that we pay. So that'll help fund this mitigation project we have. Well, sorry, that's prevention. So mitigation. I get to that. Basically the same thing, I believe. Yeah, that was the mitigation. So taking care of all the disposal of the maple and the oak brush that's up there, trying to prevent this from happening again. Yeah, so once we're done with those projects this year into next year, we're gonna redo the prevention again, do door hangers and education once more. That's gonna be an every other year plan, and then the mitigation for going out and thinning out fuels is gonna be a yearly plan. Once we're done clearing out all those high target areas, then we're gonna come down and focus more in Harrisville. So you guys aren't left out, but you guys obviously aren't the target area of our district. But you guys aren't gonna be forgotten. I mean, right now, the target area, the biggest one we had was the golf course, and that's being taken care of. The city property where you guys were building, and hopefully our third station's going, that was another target area. And that's gonna be developed now, so hopefully with more development, you guys shouldn't have any target areas down here to really worry about. Yeah, on top of that, I just need your signature if possible. So we can sign this and be done with it.
All right, I actually need a recommendation from the council to adopt this before I can sign it. So,
Yeah, I mean. Yeah, mostly it's because you guys are in our district, so we need all three cities to be on board with it. But yeah, we're not forgetting about Harrisville, we're just trying to take care of, mitigate those target areas first, and then work our way back out. So we don't have another last month's fire happen again.
was this being created before last month, or is this because of last month?
No, we started this last fall. So, but. Government moves slow, sorry. Federal government moves slow. But
All right, any questions, Council? All right,
So I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2415, community wildfire preparedness plan.
I'll second
all right, I have a motion and a second, this is roll call, please. Councilmember Fawcett,
Yes.
Councilmember Jackson,
Yes.
Councilmember Christensen,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. That is now approved for you, and we'll get the things taken care of, right? Okay.
I have to sign it real quick while we're here.
That's.
We got to say the most important things, this doesn't cost you guys anything.
We need a copy, but we get that taken care of. Why is it?
There.
Here. Thank you for coming. All right, moving on to item B, which is a discussion possible action to adopt ordinance 566, Copperwoods MDA Amendments. Sarah. There you are.
I'm in order.
All right, to the podium. Grab my glasses, I'll be right back.
I won't be able to see you, but I'll be able to see this paper. So I was approached by the Copperwoods development about continuing or extending the commercial timeline for the property. And with them, I worked with staff to figure out what type of conditions we want to see met, so that it would make sense to extend this commercial timeline. And a little bit of background of why they want to continue extend the commercial timeline. Right now, development is continuing in Harrisville. I mean, everyone can see, and we're really getting excited about the Ben Lomond development going in. Currently, the property owners do not have what they feel is an attractive commercial option that they can put in this location. They've had offers for more shell type buildings that they feel wouldn't be as advantageous for Harrisville City, and I do agree that we can find a better commercial use for this property. So in order to extend that timeline, I asked
So we're looking at extending the timeline for an additional 24 months, and there are 5 conditions to that, and I'll just go over those. So first of all is the certificate of substantial completion, and all the checklist items would need to be completed. And there's a site map where I've detailed different site improvements that would need to be done. So these include, but are not limited to, installation of perimeter fencing, construction of a parking area. And this could be temporary or permanent, but on the exhibit, it does detail that if the parking area needs to be taken out for in the future when commercial is put in that area, that equivalent parking would need to be provided so that that parking is always available to the Copperwoods development. This includes installation of the 2 landscape islands with 1 tree in each of the landscaping islands, and then the parking lot would need to be graded and maintained as well. The developer would also need to provide the city with a fully executed contract obligating the commencement of vertical commercial construction on their property. So essentially, they have a contract that says, so the contract would be signed now that says in 24 months' time, they will begin construction. And at that time, they're hoping to have a better offering of construction, but so that we know that construction will happen in 24 months, they do have a contract with a builder that will start construction in 24 months. Let's see. A maintenance plan will need to be submitted so we know how that commercial property before it's developed will be maintained until a commercial property is in place. And then ongoing compliance with the maintenance plan. Let's see. So a couple of conditions. This amendment, if signed and approved, would expire in 90 days if those conditions are not met. We wanted to have this approved so that the developer knew that it would be enforced, but as kind of a protection for the city, we have an expiration. So if these conditions aren't met, then it reverts back to the original MDA and this contract would be void. Also, these conditions would have to be fully satisfied until the remaining occupancy permits were given for the Copperwoods development. Any questions? Of course, if you have other conditions, they can be added.
So you had mentioned that they have 24 months just to start construction.
To start building a commercial building, yes.
Go along the gravel.
I guess we could put a timeline on it. In general, commercial buildings generally start and complete much faster than residential just because of the funding, so I wasn't as concerned about that. But we could put a term on that. What, is there a term that you would like to propose?
I hate to see something continue to go on for 2 and 3 more years past the 2 years that we've got. There's nothing as far as saying this needs to be complete or show progress. I mean, even in the 2 years that we have to give them, there is nothing there that says we need to show progress and what are we doing and report back. So we at least need to go on. We still have an empty lot that sits up on 1500 West because it was sold in this commercial development and it's just empty. Now, I know that's not Copperwoods and that's fine, but we need to see progress that's going on and feedback that's coming in. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we have an initial construction timeline at 24 months. We could have a completion of construction timeline if that would make you feel more comfortable. So we could have both. So it has to start in 24 months and then need to see a complete product in 36 months. I don't know what. I'm open to whatever suggestion you have.
I think the biggest thing is I want to see some communication going on with the developer. So that at least we're aware of what's going on. See, right now, that whole development area looks like a jump pit because when you go to the corner, there's a safety hazard. When you come out on 2050, you can't see around the corner what's coming on 750. It's just a matter of needing to clean up.
Thank you.
Huh? But that's the developer. We used to live there, I understand that. But that's a big concern, and I didn't mention that before, but it's a developer's problem right now. And I think some follow-up on what's going on just helps us so that we're aware of what's going on. So when residents come, we can say, please, yeah, this is what's affecting. We don't have to hold it down. We're aware of what's going on in the city. So 24 months, I'll be honest, bothers me. They can sit on it for 23.5 months and then finally show some development, and then we've got another 12 months to finish it. You know, I would like to have some feedback in of what they're doing, of what, trying to bring the right people in. That's the biggest concern that I have. I realized that they wanted to have commercial last. But, you know, I didn't want to wait 8 years either. I don't know an answer, okay?
Okay, no, that's okay, it's okay, but you established a concern and we can work with that for sure.
My other question, I might have missed it somewhere. At one time, there was 4 buildings along the highway that were supposed to be live upstairs and have some type of shops downstairs. That was the initial. What happened with those?
So what is built is actually that product. They are the work units. And this is something we've been discussing as staff, that the concept was nice, but in execution, the demand for residential was so high that the units were not filled with live work. So we've had other proposals and we've been looking at them much differently, because this one didn't succeed in a live work situation that we were hoping for.
So where do they determine the 24 months that they need? I mean, how is that?
So I had a great discussion with Jake, and they just felt that the Ben Lomond development would be underway more and showing more progress, and then that would be more marketable to the type of clients they were looking for. So the 24 months was kind of tied to what all the entitled units we have in Harrisville right now, and seeing that residential build up, they felt would give them more leverage to get some bigger commercial in that area. And it is a risk. In 24 months, they may still not have something better, but the truth is, it's in their best interest to have something better than Shell, and it's in Harrisville's best interest to have something better than Shell. I think the interest is mutual, except that we want it now.
Explain what the word shell means, because I don't
Oh,
understand.
okay, so it's a building that's, yeah, go ahead,
Yeah, just a building with nothing in it.
yeah, not committed to any use, and it can be modified to lease for anyone, and it just, because it's not a specific use, it doesn't always end up being the best product. So think of maybe a dance studio, or, I don't know, when you think of other shallow ones, we see a lot of dance studios.
A lot of empty restaurants, but, and then,
Flex space.
Yeah, flex space, and sometimes if it's not retail, they aren't generating the most income. We really like, if we can get something more retail in those areas, it would be more beneficial to Harrisville City.
But there be something written in this clause of keeping that area clean, so at least it looks presentable.
Yeah, so that's item
It
5.
does not look attractive at all.
What was that?
It does not look attractive at all. I wouldn't want to do a commercial on there.
And that's, so looking at how the site is right now, that's where we came up with the conditions. We were looking at just cleaning up the existing development, making sure that there's a fence to divide the properties, that there's parking that was promised to Copperwoods. So because the commercial is being put off, we wanted to make sure that the parking wasn't put off that needed to be there, and then also making sure that that land is maintained. It'll be graded as well, so we don't have water spilling over into our sidewalks and washing out. So those are requirements that we put in just to make sure that the existing residents were affected the least, I guess, or yeah, I guess that's my main.
do they have somebody actively trying to get businesses in right now, or is it just people who've shown interest?
They do have, in fact, the contract they have a contract that they've emailed me already, but it'll be part of the 90 days that we'll submit all of that. So they do have someone that will build shell buildings right now.
But nobody who's actually seeking
Anything
businesses that are more desirable to come.
Well, they've been contacting different businesses, but the feedback is show me the homes, I'll show you a better business.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I'm seeing sure somebody's actually,
Yes.
we're not just sitting there going, oh, hope somebody calls.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I would say it's in the developer's best interest to get a good resident there, so, yeah. Yeah. Any other thoughts?
Other than just, feedback, it's on maybe every 6 months or 12 months. A follow-up of what's going on.
I can add that condition that,
I think it definitely needs some kind of communication here. Because I was not aware that the commercial front was not available anymore. I lost that somewhere.
Are you looking for the developer to do that or for staff to report on that?
I don't know. I'm just asking, I think there needs to be some follow-up.
I would think the
That's a good
developer-
question. I don't know.
Well, okay, and I appreciate you don't, you guys have to decide that.
yeah. I would
Are we
think the
putting that in the
developer-
contract that that the developer has to report? Or is a staff update sufficient? We need to know that from this body. If that is something the council
So
wants to add.
I think it's okay if the developer tells staff, but we like. I either way, just as long
Well,
as.
and the reason I ask is it is important. If we put it in the contract as an obligation of the developer, they can default on it. If it's something that you want staff to do, we can do that and then you can get mad at us if it's not done. So that's why I'm asking for the distinction.
I think, oh, go ahead.
No, that's why I was saying that I think it's the developer, because then it is something they can default on and they're not keeping their obligations. And that keeps them more engaged, in my opinion.
And I'm happy to be the intermediary if you wanted to have a condition that the developer reports to, the city planner, every 6 months with progress on the commercial development.
I'd like to see that in the plan.
Okay.
Three of them have to agree that.
Yes, please.
There you go.
Verbally, sorry.
Yes, well, I would assume you'll make a motion and then we want those conditions included in the motion, so. Yeah,
Once we get down.
yeah, when you get there. And then the other concern was there's only a timeline for the commencement of building. If you'd like a completion of building timeline, that's something you would want to include in your motion.
I think you have a valid point that once they start, they're gonna finish it. I'm not worried about, I don't know.
Well, once somebody commercial has made a commitment, they're gonna wanna start making money, so they're gonna want that time.
I'm okay with 2 years.
You said that in 2 years, bothered you, just
No,
18 months, or just want the
no, I
updates.
understand why, because we're waiting for other development to come through. We've had these discussions before. Until we have a bunch of residents here, there's no reason to bring commercial in. I'm just thinking, excuse me,
No, please,
just,
sorry.
I'm fine. I'm fine with the 2 years. No.
Anything else for Sarah? Or Sarah, you want me to add any more?
No, that's all I have. You don't have any more questions from you, so yeah. Let you have your discussion.
Need to discuss anything more? Stuff. Are you ready for a motion?
I think so.
All right.
So, take a possible action to adopt ordinance 566, Copperwoods MDA Amendments, including the developer updates city planner every 6 months. So,
That's all you want, that's all you need.
so,
Anything else?
Did you want to add the 36 month end development time or not? Then I was second, unless you
We
want.
need to put written into the contract. Well, that's the motion. That's the motion.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second, correct?
Yep.
All right, this is a roll call. Councilmember Christensen,
yes.
Councilmember Jackson,
Yes.
Councilmember Williamson,
Yes.
Councilmember Fawcett.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Motion carries. Item C, discussion of possible action to adopt resolution 25-14, which is Connext Franchise Agreement. Jennie Knight.
Thank you, Mayor, evening council. This is a standard franchise agreement from Connext Networks. They are the fiber optics company that is coming through the city, putting their fiber lines through. And so it is just a standard franchise agreement. They're not actually collecting franchise tax yet. But they will as their network grows and their subscriptions increase. I believe it's subscriptions to that. And this is been vetted through Brody, and staff doesn't have any concerns with this agreement, and we do recommend adoption if the council is comfortable with that.
So explain a little bit to me some understanding. So the idea behind this is that as they pull people, or they have people sign up, this, the franchise means what?
Franchise agreement is an agreement between the city and the provider, and they add a utility franchise tax on their billing for their subscribers, and that money is then paid to the city if we have a franchise agreement in place. If we do not have a franchise agreement in place, then they do not collect that money and we don't receive anything. If you'd like to ask Brody about this.
It's essentially having been paid to have access to our city and our streets and those.
This agreement is for a 10-year timeline.
And does that go into the capital projects fund, or does that?
That goes to the general fund.
Okay.
Any more questions?
No, just some grumblings of people who are watching their yards get ripped up inside the property line and outside the public facilities area. The concern that I have is that it's nice to have people contract to come along and do that, but the people out here that make the contract aren't communicating. And so, yeah, there have been several people who complained to me.
That's actually a really good point. There is a distinction between this agreement and the work, right? Like
Yeah.
the work's gonna go on no matter what. What this agreement says is that Harrisville City is going to capture the franchise tax allowed lawfully for them to operate here. They're gonna operate here no matter what.
I understand that.
Yeah.
Can I comment?
Sure, go ahead.
So when they did come through, they put it in, they ripped up my yard and they severed my sprinkler system and killed my front yard. So there is a recourse, you call, you make a complaint and tell them what happened. They set up a timeline to come and fix what they've ruined. They did replace my lawn, but they came and fixed my sprinkler system, and that's what people are getting. The complaints is they don't know they're coming and they're their house. But you can't have that stuff.
No. Well, I think the other discrepancy is how far inside property lines is permissible. You know, and that's a lot of the discrepancy comes on. When I talked to, I talked to Public Works before and was watching over that. But still, once again, that's a communication.
And they have to operate inside of the easement, and if they do not, the homeowner actually has a very nice lawsuit against them.
It's fine. I don't think our public knows that.
No,
You can go ahead and tell
yeah,
We'll be happy to.
them, yeah.
because they did also go outside the easement and almost dug up the electrical boxes of the Edmund property. It was an issue. So, yeah, there's recourse.
Okay.
Any more discussion or?
So, any questions? So I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2514, the Connext Franchise Agreement.
I'll serve you.
All right, I have a motion and a second. I need a roll call on this one again. Councilmember Wilson,
Yes.
Councilmember Fawcett,
Yes.
Councilmember Christensen,
Yes.
Councilmember Jackson.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Motion carries for that resolution. Item number 6 is public comment. This is an opportunity for people in the audience to approach the council with their concern. You have 3 minutes. Please come to the podium and state your name. Time is 9 minutes.
Just quickly, Chad McGrath. It was kind of, Sarah mentioned it briefly, but I noticed, especially tonight as I was coming here, that right on 750 where 2150 meets there, that the weeds are so high, it's hard to see left when you're turning left onto 20. So if we could have them do something to cut down the weeds and clear that up a little bit, that would be fantastic. Thanks.
Thank you, Chuck.
Jason Hadley, and appreciate the information tonight too. One thing that I have is a concern just to bring up. There's I don't know whose responsibility it is, but there's been a section of the sidewalk along 89 that's been buckled for quite some time that I think poses a great safety risk. And where that's a major roadway that a lot of people walk or travel on bikes, I hope we could figure a way to get that fixed. It's just two square sections of concrete. I imagine it'd be pretty easy to get that broken out and repaired and filled where it needs to happen.
Do you have an approximate?
Yeah, it's just, now I can remember it, I apologize. I think it's just between here, just past the park, in front of the Benelon Golf Course.
There's one right on the property line of the vet and the city property.
And it's pretty significant, it's about a foot tall.
Okay, thank you. All right, if there's no more public comments, we'll close that. Move on to item number 7, which is Mayor and Council follow-up. I'm gonna turn the time over to the directors first. I'm gonna ask Chief Wilson because an update.
Have anything new for you?
Okay.
This meeting.
Very fast.
Just the fall festival, October 21st, which is a Tuesday. So I invite you all out to come participate in that. If you'd like a spot to have your own booth, then let us know. We were fairly packed last year, so then the next year or two, we'll probably either be wrapping in the corner down that drive or maybe limiting booth space. So just to make you aware of that, and we'll have one more council meeting that I can remind you, but we'll just get it.
You need volunteers for that.
Not right now, but I will revisit that. I have something last year, so I'm working through those.
Okay. Thank you. Administrator Knight.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have the ULCT conference is coming up October 1st and 2nd. It's a Wednesday and Thursday. Please just get with me if you'd like to attend, and I'll get you registered for that. This is the annual convention, so it's in Salt Lake this time. So just let me know. They hold classes on all things, conflict resolution, housing, all types of different classes that you're welcome to attend. So just let me know if that's something you're interested in, and I'll get you registered for that.
That's what the planning commissioners do, isn't it?
So yes, it's open to planning commissioners as well.
What were the dates?
October 1st and 2nd. Yeah, so just let me know, send me an email, but somehow let me know that you'd like to be registered, and I'll get you registered.
Okay. Rudy, do you have anything for us?
Gladly, no.
Oh, well, wonderful to have you back. Max, anything tonight?
No.
Robert?
No.
Karen? Nothing? There. It's been a good night. Hardly any complaints, that's great. We're gonna have a motion to adjourn, please.
Don't move.
Second.
All in favor?
Bye.
Thank you. Jay being here.